I still remember that night. The air was thick. The smell of antiseptic burned my nose. And every machine around me hummed, like it was counting my last moments. The nurse had just adjusted the 4 when I heard the doctor whisper to another, her heart slowing down. We might lose her. I could barely open my eyes, but I could feel everything. My body was weak, but my spirit was still awake, clinging to something unseen. I heard my children's voices fading in and out. My daughter was crying so hard I wanted to hold her, but my hands wouldn't move. My son kept asking, "Doctor, please do something." And then, silence. That terrifying silence that tells you the story might be over. The monitor flatlined. A single, sharp tone filled the room, a sound I'll never forget. I wanted to scream, "I'm still here." But nothing came out. I was trapped between this world and the next, and for a moment, it felt like my soul slipped free. They covered my body with a white sheet. I could feel the light fabric brush against my skin. How strange. To feel it when you're supposed to be gone. And yet, I wasn't afraid. Everything around me started fading. The walls, the people, even the pain. There was no fear, no struggle, just stillness. And in that stillness, I heard something. Not the doctor's voice, not my children's cries, but something softer. A whisper that came from nowhere and everywhere at once. "Not yet, my child." It wasn't just a voice, it was peace. It was love. It was something no human could give. I can't explain how I knew, but I felt it. God was speaking to me. Suddenly, I saw flashes of my life, my home, my garden, the laughter of my grandchildren. I saw my daughter's first steps, my wedding day, the meals I'd cooked, the prayers I'd whispered when nobody else was watching. And I realized this wasn't the end. It couldn't be, because I hadn't told my story yet. Before I share what happened next, I want to ask you something, my friend. Where are you watching from? Tell me in the comments. It fills my heart to see how far my story travels from my hospital bed to your home. And if my words already touched your heart, please like this video, and subscribe because what happened next will show you that when God says it's not over, it's never over. When the doctor said I was gone, everything went quiet. No pain, no heartbeat, no breath, just stillness. But then, something strange happened. I realized I was still aware. I could see the room, even though my eyes were closed. I could hear the cries, even though my ears weren't working anymore. It was like my soul had stepped outside my body, quietly watching everything from above. I saw my daughter clutching my hand, begging me to come back. Her tears fell onto my skin, and though I wasn't breathing, I felt them warm, heavy drops of love. My son stood in the corner, shaking, whispering, "Mama, don't leave me, please." I wanted to tell them I was okay. I wanted to reach out and wipe their tears. But I couldn't. My body was still lifeless, but my spirit was awake. Then the light appeared. It started small, like a soft glow at the end of a tunnel. Then it grew brighter and warmer, until it surrounded everything. It wasn't blinding though. It felt like sunlight wrapping around me, like peace itself had arms. And with that light came peace, real peace. No fear, no pain, no sickness, just calm. As I drifted toward it, I saw glimpses of moments that had defined my life. The first time I held my babies. The way my mother used to sing while cooking. The Sunday mornings when my family filled the house with laughter. Every memory felt alive again. Like God was letting me see everything I had lived for, everything that mattered. Then, I heard it again. That voice. Calm, loving, strong. Not yet. The light trembled, not in anger, but in authority. And in that moment, I felt my soul stop. I didn't understand. Why not yet? I was finally at peace, finally free. But then, like a movie playing in fast motion, I saw faces, not just my children's, but people I didn't even know. Broken people, sick people, hopeless people. And somehow, deep down, I knew I was meant to speak to them, to you, because someone out there needs to hear this. When you think your story is over, God might just be turning the page. Suddenly, I felt something pull me back hard. Like falling backward through a tunnel of wind and light. I could hear faint sounds again, doctors shouting, machines clicking, and then beep. A single sound pierced through the silence, another beep. Then another. Someone screamed, "She's breathing. She's back." My chest rose. Air rushed into my lungs like fire and blessing all at once. I was alive. Against every rule, every logic, every law of science, I was alive. And I knew exactly why. Because God had whispered, "Not yet." When my eyes opened, the world looked different. The lights above me were too bright, the air too heavy. My chest hurt with every breath, but I was breathing. At first, I didn't understand. Everything was blurry. The voices around me sounded muffled, distant, like I was underwater. Then I heard gasps. "She's awake." One nurse shouted. The doctor turned, his face pale as paper. "That's impossible," he whispered. But there I was, the woman they had covered with a white sheet. The woman who had been pronounced dead. The woman God had chosen to bring back. My daughter's cry broke through the noise. "Mama." She rushed to my bedside, grabbed my trembling hand, and held it to her face like she never wanted to let go. My son stood frozen, tears streaming down his cheeks. He couldn't even speak. He just looked at me like he was staring at a miracle. Because that's exactly what it was. The doctor shook his head in disbelief. Her heart stopped for over 3 minutes. There's no explanation for this. But there was an explanation. It wasn't science. It wasn't chance. It was God. I looked at the doctor and said, with my cracked lips and weak voice, "You didn't bring me back." He did. The room went silent. Some of the nurses had tears in their eyes. Others just stared like they'd seen something holy. Because maybe they had. Every breath I took after that moment felt sacred. I could feel life moving through me again, slow, gentle, real. The doctor ordered every test possible. He wanted answers, but every result came back the same, normal. It was as if death had never touched me. Days passed. I was weak but alive. Every time I closed my eyes, I could still hear that whisper echoing in my soul. Not yet. And every time I opened them, I'd see my children watching over me. Afraid I might slip away again, I'd smile and whisper, "Don't worry. God's still not finished with me." One evening, as the sun set outside the hospital window, my nurse came in quietly. She said, "Ma'am, when you flatlined, something strange happened." The machines went silent, but I felt peace in the room. It was like something holy. I smiled softly. "You felt him," I said. She nodded, tears forming. "I think I did. You see, when God moves, even those who don't believe feel it. It's undeniable." Before I tell you what I did with this second chance, I want to ask you something. Have you ever experienced something you couldn't explain? Something that made you believe, even for a moment, that there's more to life than what we see? Tell me in the comments. I read every one of them. And if you believe that miracles are still real, don't forget to like this video and subscribe, because my story is proof. When the world says it's over, God can still whisper, "Not yet." After that night, every single sunrise felt like a gift wrapped in gold. The same hospital window I once looked through with fear now looked like a doorway to grace. I woke up each morning just to whisper, "Thank you, Lord, for one more day." The doctors called me a medical mystery. They gathered students to review my case, scratching their heads and saying, "There's no medical reason she should be alive." But I smiled. Because I already knew, when God writes your story, science can't edit it. My body was weak at first. I had to learn how to walk again, how to hold a cup without shaking, Every step hurt, but every step also reminded me I was walking proof that miracles still happen. One evening, my pastor came to visit. He sat beside me and said softly, "Sister, you've been brought back for a reason. Do you know what it is?" I looked at him, tears in my eyes, and whispered, "To tell people that God still saves, because how could I stay silent after what He did for me?" That night, I made a promise to spend the rest of my life sharing the miracle God gave me, not through sermons, not through fame, but through love, through kindness, through testimony. When I left the hospital, the air outside hit my face like freedom. I looked up at the sky blue, endless, alive, and said, "I'm back, Lord, use me." And He did. At first it was small things, comforting a woman in the waiting room whose husband was in surgery, sending messages of faith to people who felt alone. But soon, my story began to spread. Neighbors came to my door just to hear me say it in person. Yes, I died. And yes, He brought me back. One day, a young nurse came to see me. She said, "I was in that room the night you died. I wasn't sure I believed in God before, but when you opened your eyes, I fell to my knees. I knew then that something greater was real." That moment broke me in the best way, because I realized my survival wasn't just about me. It was about showing others that God is still moving, even in the darkest rooms of the hospital. Since then, I've told my story wherever I could, in churches, hospitals, online, and even to strangers at the grocery store. Every time I speak it out loud, I can feel that same whisper in my heart, "Not yet." Before I tell you how that whisper changed my life forever, let me ask you something. Where are you watching this from? Drop your country or city in the comments. I love seeing how far God's message travels. And if my words touched your heart today, please like this video and subscribe, because the last part of my story is the most powerful one of all. It's been years since that night, the night I crossed over and came back. But every time I close my eyes, I still see that light. And I still hear that whisper, "Not yet." Those two words became my reason to live. They became my strength when pain returned, my hope when life got heavy, and my song when nights felt too long. Because when God says not yet, it doesn't mean no. It means I'm not finished with you. After I left the hospital, people started calling me a miracle. But I always tell them I'm not the miracle. God is. I'm just His reminder that He still works in ways we can't explain. There were days I wanted to forget it all, the tubes, the fear, the sound of but then I'd meet someone who was ready to give up. Someone sitting in their own hospital bed, or crying in the dark, thinking no one saw them. And I'd sit beside them and say, "I know that feeling. I've been there. But listen, God isn't done with you either." One woman I met told me she was losing her fight with cancer. She said, "I'm tired. I don't think I can do this anymore." I held her hand and whispered the same words that saved me. "Not yet." She smiled through her tears. And in that moment, faith filled the room again. That's what this story is about. It's not about death, it's about purpose. It's about understanding that if you woke up this morning, you're still here for a reason. Every scar on my body tells a story. Every breath I take reminds me that even when the world says, "You're done," heaven might be saying, "Hold on, I'm still writing your chapter." Sometimes I think about how close I was to never seeing another sunrise, but then I remember, God didn't just give me back my life. He gave me a mission. To speak, to inspire, to remind people that miracles aren't myths, they're messages. So if you're watching this right now, whether you're sick, heartbroken, or just tired, hear me clearly. You're still here because your story isn't over. You are proof that survival is sacred. You are proof that God still moves mountains. And if you ever start to doubt it, just close your eyes and whisper, "Not yet." Before you go, I want to know, where are you watching from? Tell me in the comments. It fills my heart to see this message travel to souls across the world. If this story touched you, please like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs hope today. Because I was once declared dead. But God whispered, "Not yet." And that whisper became my life's greatest miracle.